lot of people really want this Durand linear fusion rifle, but once you get to the final boss, you and your team will wipe because of the Wyverns or Overload champions. This build will give you a higher chance of succeeding and getting you that sweet double scintillation. You're also going to be generating a boatload of orbs of power for you and your teammates, and you're also going to be healing them as well. You will also have the ability to get a 400% increase in ability regeneration, aka the more you will heal your teammates, the more you're going to be able to spam your abilities. So that would be your grenade, your melee, and your class ability. To make this build even better, you're also going to be stunning every single champion in the game because of the weapons that we are using for the build. I also want to let you guys know I did make a build of this, but it's on prismatic, so if you guys are interested and want to learn more about using this kind of a variation of a build for prismatic, you can either click on the top right of the screen, or I'll put a link for the video in the description as well. But for that prismatic build, it will take full priority for healing your teammates and yourself as well. This one is a bit of an offensive and defensive build. So when I was playing the Grandmaster Nightfall, I did produce 73 orbs, and most of those orbs were from my exotic helmet, and it's called Speaker's Sight. It will turn your healing grenade into a healing turret. Healing allies occasionally spawns an orb of power. So whenever you produce an orb of power and you were to pick it up, it would give you 2.5% super energy. The healing turret will last up to 15 seconds, and for every 3 seconds of that healing turret, it would poop out a miniature version of an orb of light, or should I say a healing orb, that will heal the user within 30 meters. So we are using an aspect called Touch of Flame, which will enhance our healing effects. So we are now going to cure and proc restoration, and it's going to be increased by ×2. So for you and your teammates, we're going to be getting ×2 restoration and cure. The super that I'm using for the build is Song of Flame, which will enhance our abilities even further, which will make our abilities recharge even quicker. 2, it would override your grenade into a flaming bird that would track to nearby allies, making them explode. You're also going to be getting Radiant, and whenever Song of Flame is active, our kinetic weapons and solar weapons will have the ability to scorch targets. And this is a support build, so this super will give your allies that are near you while your super is active increased in ability regeneration. Let's head to the abilities. For the class ability, I am using Healing Rift, and what's cool about this is that whenever you activate your Healing Rift and an ally were to go in and out of your Healing Rift non-stop, it would actually refresh the timer of this fragment called Ember of Benevolence. Applying Restoration, Cure, or Radiant to allies, it would grant increased grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration for a short time, but you would get -10 discipline. So for all of our abilities, we're going to be activating all of those buffs. And the timer for Ember of Benevolence is 6 seconds. For the solar melee, I do recommend going for Celestial Fire. This is going to be very good when proccing Radiant if you're near allies to proc Ember of Benevolence even further. So this is a range melee, and of course, if we are playing Grandmaster Nightfalls or any hard endgame content, we're going to need to use range melee abilities so the enemies won't one-shot us. And in order for us to become Radiant, we're going to need to use this fragment called Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and your nearby allies Radiant, but you would get -10 discipline. And of course, I already mentioned it, for the solar grenade, go for Healing Grenade. For the second aspect I chose to put for the build is Helion. Whenever we activate our class ability, it would summon a solar mortar that would lob flaming projectiles at distant targets. This will apply 30 scorch stacks to that target, each projectile that would hit them. Let's head to the last 2 fragments. The third one, go for Ember of Solace. Radiant and restoration effects applied to you have increased duration, so they're now going to last 50% longer, but this only applies to you, but not your teammates. Your final one, go for Ember of Mercy. Whenever you revive an ally, you and your other nearby allies will gain restoration, and also whenever you pick up a fire sprite, it will grant restoration, but you would get +10 resilience. We're not going to be producing that much fire sprites. I just wanted to put this one because of just reviving an ally, which will grant him and myself restoration, so we would have a higher chance of surviving when I revive them. So this build is prioritizing in Grandmaster Nightfalls. So currently, this exotic pulse rifle dominates Grandmaster Nightfalls, and it's called the Outbreak Perfected, because pulse rifles did get a buff this season. So of course, pulse rifles are very good in endgame content, and this is a primary pulse rifle, and so you're going to be getting infinite ammo. To make this even better, this perk is called Rewind Rounds, or I would like to call it Rewind Rounds. When this weapons magazine is empty, it refills it from reserves based on the number of hits. So basically, the more you shoot, the longer you're going to be shooting, if that makes any sense. And you are going to be stunning anti-barrier champions because this is a pulse rifle, and in the seasonal artifacts, there answer is Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle. For the energy weapon, I chose to go for Indebted Kindness to 1. Stun Unstoppable Champions and 2. Stun Overload Champions, just from this sidearm. To stun Overload Champions, we're going to need to have this perk called Volt Shot. So get a kill, reload, and then shoot that target to jolt them. And I know a lot of people would like to use the No Hesitation rather than the Indebted Kindness, but I found that using the Outbreak Perfected, it would really outperform when playing endgame content, so I chose to put that. But if you're one of those people that would like to take full benefits of healing your teammates and also yourself, you can go for No Hesitation. For the power weapon, I put this Solar Rocket Launcher. You don't have to put it, but I just put it because of the Solar Surge for the Grandmaster currently this week, and it's called the Apex Predator. For the perks, go for Reconstruction, so instead of holding 1 of the mag, you're going to be holding 2, and it would also reload it automatically. In the 4th column, go for Bait and Switch. If you were to deal damage with your kinetic and energy weapon, and then swap to your Apex Predator, it would give this weapon a 30% increase in damage for 10 seconds. And if you guys are very interested and are curious to know what seasonal artifact mods I was using for the build to make it 10 times better, here it is on screen if you are interested. For the stats for the build, I do recommend going for Recovery to 1. Reduce your class ability cooldown, and 2. You would also regain your health even faster, but that part doesn't really matter. What really matters is reducing our class ability cooldown to give us more of an opportunity to spam our abilities even further. And for your second stat, you can choose either Resilience, because yes, this is a build prioritizing an endgame content. So if you have tier 10 Resilience, it would give you a 30% damage reduction. But if you are confident when healing yourself and teammates, I do recommend going for Discipline as well if you can. If you don't want to go to Resilience, because Discipline will decrease your cooldown for your grenades, but Discipline will not matter because we are going to be spamming Ember of Benevolence. But I just wanted to make another opportunity for you guys to decide which other stat you would like to go for. So either Resilience or Discipline for your second stat choice. But for me, in my personal opinion, I would go for Resilience just to survive even longer. Because when it comes to PvE, Resilience is the go-to stat if you're playing high endgame content, such as Master Raids, Master Dungeons, or Grandmaster Nightfalls. I do really want to explain what armor mods I was using for the build, but I really want to make this video as short as possible so you guys could copy the build and use it right now in the Grandmaster Nightfalls to get you that sweet loot. So here is an image on screen if you are interested. You could actually pause it and take a picture of it, or again, the build will be in the description, aka the dim link. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, evening, or afternoon, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.